Activity. In a covered mission, one distinct activity for James Bond could involve infiltrating a high-security facility to retrieve classified documents. Activity code. The 007 code serves as an activity code to classify and identify James Bond's missions, allowing intelligence agencies to keep track of his operations. Activity identifier. Each mission assigned to James Bond receives a unique activity identifier, such as Mission Thunderball, to differentiate it from other missions. Activity label. Undercover surveillance could be an activity label for a mission where James Bond discreetly monitors a suspect's activities. Actual cost. AC. The actual cost incurred during James Bond's mission to thwart an international arms deal includes expenses for travel, gadgets, and resources. Analogous estimating. When planning for a mission, intelligence agencies might use data from previous missions to make an analogous estimate of the time it would take James Bond to infiltrate a secure base. Apportioned effort. In a complex operation, James Bond's effort could be apportioned across different tasks like reconnaissance, sabotage, and extraction. Assumption. While planning to intercept a criminal organization's communication, an assumption made by Bond could be that the enemy has not yet deciphered their secret codes. Backward pass. When planning a rescue mission, the intelligence team performs a backward pass to determine the latest possible start and finish times for each step before James Bond arrives on the scene. Baseline. The approved mission plan, detailing Bond's approach and tactics, serves as the baseline against which actual mission outcomes are compared. Bottom-up estimating. When estimating the time required for a complex mission, intelligence analysts break down the mission into smaller components using a bottom-up estimating approach. Budget at completion. BAC. The total budget allocated for James Bond's mission to stop a nuclear threat encompasses all expenses required for its successful execution. Change control. In a high-stakes mission, when new information reveals a change in the target's location, the intelligence agency implements a change control process to document and approve adjustments to the mission plan. Change Control Board. A top-level group of intelligence experts serves as the Change Control Board, responsible for evaluating and deciding whether to approve or reject modifications to James Bond's mission parameters due to emerging threats. Change Control System. The intricate procedures followed by MI6 to manage and control modifications to mission plans and strategies form the foundation of their change control system. Change Request. When unforeseen obstacles arise during a mission, a formal change request is submitted to MI6 headquarters to propose alterations to James Bond's tactics. Code of Accounts. MI6 employs a classified numbering system, known as the 00 code, to uniquely identify each agent and assignment within the organization. Communications Management Plan. MI6's Communications Management Plan outlines how, when, and by whom critical information will be disseminated during James Bond's missions to ensure efficient coordination. Configuration Management System. MI6's advanced technology and equipment are tracked and controlled through a sophisticated configuration management system, ensuring that project artifacts are closely monitored. Constraint. The time-sensitive nature of preventing a global catastrophe acts as a significant constraint on James Bond's operations, compelling him to work swiftly and efficiently. Contingency Plan. In case a mission is compromised, MI6 has contingency plans in place to activate extraction teams and initiate a safe escape for James Bond. Contingency Reserve. MI6 allocates contingency reserves within their mission budgets to address unforeseen risks, such as unexpected security measures or changes in the enemy's behavior. Control Account. For each mission, MI6 establishes a control account where the allocated resources, budget, and progress are monitored and compared against planned milestones. Corrective Action. When a mission starts deviating from the initial plan due to unforeseen challenges, James Bond takes corrective actions to realign the mission with MI6's objectives. Cost Baseline. The approved budget allocation and contingency reserves for a mission, forming the cost baseline, are used to compare with actual expenditures during James Bond's operations. Cost Management Plan. MI6's Cost Management Plan details how expenses related to missions are planned, controlled, and monitored to ensure efficient resource utilization. Cost Performance Index, CPI. MI6 assesses the cost efficiency of their missions by calculating the CPI, measuring how effectively the resources are utilized in relation to the budget. Cost Variance, CV. If the actual costs of a mission exceed the planned expenses, it results in a negative cost variance, signaling potential resource allocation issues. Crashing. In dire situations, MI6 employs the crashing technique by allocating additional resources to expedite mission completion, such as bringing in extra agents or advanced gadgets. Critical Chain Method. The critical chain method is utilized by MI6 to allocate buffers to mission tasks to account for uncertainties and limited resources, ensuring mission success despite challenges. Critical Path. MI6 identifies the critical path for each mission, determining the sequence of tasks that must be executed precisely to meet the mission's timeline. Critical Path Activity. In a mission to defuse a nuclear device, the task of cracking the encryption protecting the device's access codes becomes a critical path activity due to its time sensitivity. Critical Path Method. MI6 employs the critical path method to estimate the minimum time needed for mission completion, considering interdependencies and task sequences. Data date. The data date marks the point in time when James Bond's mission status is recorded, providing a snapshot of progress and achievements. Decision tree analysis. When assessing multiple options to infiltrate an enemy stronghold, MI6 uses decision tree analysis to evaluate the potential outcomes of each choice and make informed decisions. Decomposition. MI6 breaks down the complex mission scope into smaller, manageable components to facilitate planning, execution, and resource allocation. Defect repair. During a mission, if a device malfunctions, James Bond performs a defect repair to restore its functionality and continue with the operation. Deliverable. The evidence of James Bond's success in a mission could be considered a deliverable, such as capturing classified documents or neutralizing a high-profile threat. Discrete effort. In a mission to extract a target, James Bond's infiltration and extraction activities are discrete efforts, each contributing to the overall success of the operation. Duration. The duration of James Bond's mission could be measured in days or weeks, reflecting the total time required to complete the intricate tasks involved in achieving the mission's objectives. Early finish date. In a mission to intercept a cybercriminal's data transfer, the early finish date indicates the earliest possible time James Bond can complete the decryption process, considering the schedule, network logic, and constraints. Early start date. When preparing to infiltrate an enemy base, the early start date marks the earliest point in time James Bond can initiate his covert approach, based on logistical considerations and available resources. Earned value, EV. For a mission involving disabling a criminal organization's main communication hub, the earned value reflects the progress made in terms of completed tasks and objectives, compared to the budget authorized for the mission. Earned value management. MI6 uses earned value management to assess James Bond's progress and performance during missions, combining scope, schedule, and resource measurements to evaluate his success. Effort. The effort required to crack a sophisticated encryption code during a mission can be measured in labor units, reflecting the number of hours or days James Bond needs to allocate to this task. Enterprise environmental factors. In James Bond's world, factors like international politics, technological advancements, and the presence of global criminal networks are enterprise environmental factors that influence the direction and constraints of his missions. Estimate at completion, EAC. In a mission to prevent a biological weapon attack, the estimate at completion represents the projected total cost of completing all tasks, combining actual costs to date with the expected costs to finish the mission. Estimate to complete, ETC. As James Bond encounters unexpected challenges during a mission, MI6 calculates the estimate to complete to determine the additional resources and budget required to successfully finish the remaining tasks. Fast tracking. When facing imminent danger in a mission, James Bond might employ the fast tracking technique, concurrently performing tasks that were originally planned to be executed sequentially. Finish to finish. In a complex operation, the extraction of hostages can only be completed once James Bond's successful infiltration, the predecessor activity, has finished. Finish to start. After gathering intelligence during reconnaissance, predecessor activity, James Bond's subsequent activity of engaging the enemy forces, successor activity, can only start. Fixed formula method. MI6 might use the fixed formula method when assessing earned value for a mission. A percentage of the budget could be assigned when James Bond achieves certain milestones, such as infiltrating the enemy's headquarters. Forward pass. When James Bond embarks on a mission, the forward pass technique helps calculate the early start and early finish dates, ensuring a clear path to accomplish critical tasks. Free float. In a mission to retrieve a stolen artifact, the free float represents the time buffer James Bond has before delaying subsequent activities, allowing for flexibility in the mission schedule. Functional organization. In the functional organizational structure of MI6, staff members are grouped by areas of specialization. For instance, Q specializes in gadgetry, M handles intelligence analysis, and James Bond, as an agent, carries out the field operations. Gantt chart. MI6 uses a Gantt chart to visually represent James Bond's mission schedule. The vertical axis lists various mission activities, the horizontal axis displays dates, and the length of horizontal bars indicates the start and finish dates of each activity. This helps plan, track, and manage the progress of his missions. Lag. In a mission to thwart an international arms deal, there might be a lag between James Bond's successful infiltration, predecessor activity, and the point when the captured intelligence is fully analyzed, successor activity. Late finish date. During a mission to prevent the launch of a deadly satellite, the critical path analysis determines the latest possible date when all mission activities, including intercepting the satellite's transmission, must be completed to meet the project completion date and avoid catastrophe. Late start date. In a scenario where James Bond must gather crucial information from a high-security facility, the late start date represents the latest point in time he can begin his infiltration to ensure the completion of mission-critical tasks on time. Lead. In a mission where James Bond must gain access to a secret vault, a skilled locksmith, successor activity, can start working on the vault's lock before Bond's actual infiltration, predecessor activity, allowing for a smoother transition once Bond arrives. Lessons learned. After successfully neutralizing a terrorist threat, MI6 conducts Lessons Learned session, where James Bond shares his experiences and insights to improve future missions and enhance the agency's overall performance. Level of effort. In a mission involving long-term surveillance of a suspect's activities, James Bond's level of effort includes continuous monitoring over a certain period, as opposed to discrete tasks with definitive end products. Logical relationship. The mission to intercept a dangerous weapon shipment requires a logical relationship between the successful sabotage of enemy communications, predecessor activity, and Bond's disabling of security systems, successor activity. Management reserve. When preparing for a high-risk mission with potential unforeseen challenges, MI6 allocates management reserve in addition to the baseline budget, ensuring the availability of resources to address unexpected developments. Matrix organization. During a mission that involves coordination between different intelligence units, James Bond temporarily shares authority with the functional managers to assign tasks and resources effectively. Milestone. Successfully infiltrating an enemy stronghold and retrieving sensitive documents serves as a milestone in James Bond's mission, indicating a significant achievement and progression toward mission completion. Milestone schedule. The milestone schedule for James Bond's mission includes critical events like neutralize enemy leader and secure stolen weapon, providing a clear timeline of key achievements. Most likely duration. MI6 estimates the most likely duration for James Bond's mission to infiltrate a secret facility, considering variables such as security measures, available information, and potential obstacles. Near-critical activity. James Bond's skillful evasion of enemy patrols, while not on the critical path, is considered a near-critical activity due to its low float and its potential to impact the overall mission timeline. Near-critical path. If James Bond's covert extraction of hostages from a dangerous situation becomes delayed, it could create a near-critical path, impacting the mission's successful outcome. Network logic. The network logic outlines the sequence of activities required for James Bond's mission, depicting the relationships and dependencies between different tasks. Network path. The network path maps out the sequence of activities for James Bond's mission, highlighting the interconnected flow of tasks that lead to the mission's completion. Node. Nodes on the project schedule network diagram represent points where different activities and dependencies intersect, crucially defining the sequence and flow of events in James Bond's missions. Opportunity. In a mission to intercept a criminal's financial transactions, MI6 identifies an opportunity to disrupt the enemy's funding sources, which would have a positive effect on their project objective of neutralizing the threat. Optimistic duration. James Bond estimates an optimistic duration for infiltrating an enemy base to obtain critical intelligence, factoring in his extensive training and ability to navigate obstacles efficiently. Organizational breakdown structure. MI6 develops an organizational breakdown structure that illustrates the relationship between James Bond's mission activities and the various specialized units within the organization, such as intelligence analysis and technical support. Organizational enabler. Cutting-edge gadgets and advanced surveillance technology act as organizational enablers for MI6, empowering James Bond to achieve his strategic objectives effectively. Organizational process assets. MI6's repository of past mission reports, protocols, and operational guidelines form the organizational process assets that James Bond can leverage to enhance the success of his current missions. Organizational project management. MI6 employs organizational project management to align James Bond's missions with strategic objectives, integrating portfolio, program, and project management to maximize impact. Organizational project management maturity. MI6 continually improves its organizational project management maturity, enhancing its ability to execute James Bond's missions predictably and reliably, achieving strategic outcomes. % complete. During a mission to intercept a high-profile target, James Bond estimates that he is 60% complete with the objective of obtaining critical information from the enemy's communication network. Performance measurement baseline. MI6 utilizes a performance measurement baseline that integrates scope, schedule, and cost baselines, enabling precise tracking and control of James Bond's mission execution. Performing organization. MI6 is the performing organization responsible for directly executing the work of James Bond's missions, involving intelligence analysis, tactical planning, and field operations. Pessimistic duration. In a mission to thwart a nuclear threat, James Bond estimates a pessimistic duration for infiltrating a heavily guarded facility, considering possible complications and adversary countermeasures. Phase gate. After successfully infiltrating an enemy base, a phase gate review is conducted where a decision is made to continue to the next phase, proceeding with adjustments to the mission strategy if needed. Plan value, PV, the budget allocated for James Bond's mission activities, such as intelligence gathering and covert operations, is the plan value that guides resource allocation and progress assessment. Portfolio. MI6 manages a portfolio of diverse projects and programs, including James Bond's missions, subsidiary operations, and intelligence initiatives, all aligned with strategic objectives. Portfolio balancing. MI6 constantly adjusts the portfolio mix, ensuring that resources are optimally allocated to various missions and initiatives to achieve strategic goals effectively. Portfolio charter. A sponsor issues a portfolio charter that authorizes and outlines the structure of MI6's mission portfolio, aligning the portfolio's activities with the organization's strategic vision. Portfolio management. MI6 centrally manages James Bond's missions and other initiatives in its portfolio to achieve overarching strategic objectives, optimizing resource utilization and impact. Portfolio management plan. MI6's portfolio management plan details how the portfolio will be organized, monitored, and controlled, guiding decisions to ensure effective execution of James Bond's missions. Portfolio manager. A skilled individual within MI6 is assigned the role of a portfolio manager, responsible for overseeing, balancing, and controlling James Bond's missions to achieve strategic objectives. Precedence diagramming method. MI6 employs the precedence diagramming method to construct schedules for James Bond's missions, graphically representing logical relationships between activities to ensure smooth execution. Predecessor activity. In a mission to intercept a rogue agent, the intelligence analysis, predecessor activity, must be completed before James Bond's covert operation, dependent activity, can commence. Preventive action. MI6 takes preventive actions by providing James Bond with countermeasures to avoid detection while infiltrating an enemy stronghold, aligning with the project management plan. Probability and impact matrix. MI6 uses a probability and impact matrix to assess the likelihood and impact of risks associated with James Bond's missions, aiding in risk prioritization and mitigation. Procurement management plan. MI6's procurement management plan outlines how the organization will acquire external resources, such as advanced weaponry and specialized equipment, to support James Bond's missions. Project lifecycle. James Bond's mission follows a project lifecycle, starting from the planning phase of intelligence gathering, through the execution phase of covert operations, and culminating in the completion phase with mission success. Project manager. The skilled project manager assigned by MI6 leads James Bond's missions, overseeing planning, execution, and monitoring of activities to ensure project objectives are achieved. Quality management plan. MI6 develops a comprehensive quality management plan that outlines how the organization's policies and guidelines will be implemented to ensure the quality of James Bond's mission deliverables, such as advanced weaponry and intelligence reports. Requirements management plan. MI6's requirements management plan details how the organization will analyze, document, and manage the requirements for James Bond's missions, ensuring that all objectives are clearly defined and met. Requirements traceability matrix. A requirements traceability matrix is used to link the product requirements for Q's innovative gadgets to the specific deliverables that fulfill them, ensuring a clear and traceable path from requirements to completion. Resource breakdown structure. MI6 creates a resource breakdown structure to hierarchically represent the various types of resources needed for James Bond's missions, including specialized agents, technical support, and cutting-edge equipment. Resource calendar. The resource calendar identifies the working days and shifts when Q's technical expertise and support staff are available to assist James Bond during his missions, ensuring optimal resource allocation. Resource leveling. MI6 employs resource leveling to balance the allocation of specialized agents and support staff across different missions, ensuring that resources are optimally utilized without impacting the critical path. Resource management plan. MI6's resource management plan outlines how the organization will acquire, allocate, monitor, and control resources for James Bond's missions, ensuring that the right personnel and equipment are available when needed. Resource optimization technique. MI6 uses resource optimization techniques to adjust activity start and finish dates for James Bond's missions, ensuring a balanced allocation of resources to achieve the best possible outcomes. Resource smoothing. To ensure seamless execution of James Bond's missions, MI6 applies resource smoothing techniques to adjust resource allocations without affecting the critical path or compromising mission success. Risk. The uncertain event of an adversary discovering James Bond's true identity could have a negative effect on the mission's success, highlighting the importance of risk management in MI6's operations. Risk acceptance. In cases where the risk of exposure during an undercover operation is deemed low, MI6 might choose to adopt a risk acceptance strategy, allowing the mission to proceed without taking additional action. Risk avoidance. MI6 employs risk avoidance when implementing countermeasures to eliminate threats, such as creating diversion tactics to avoid detection during James Bond's covert infiltration missions. Risk enhancement. To increase the probability of gaining valuable intelligence from an enemy agent, MI6 may use risk enhancement strategies, such as providing misleading information to exploit the adversary's vulnerabilities. Risk exploiting. MI6 employs risk exploiting tactics to ensure that advantageous opportunities, such as intercepting encrypted communications, occur as planned during James Bond's missions. Risk management plan. MI6's risk management plan outlines how the organization will identify, analyze, and respond to risks associated with James Bond's missions, helping to minimize potential negative impacts. Risk mitigation. To decrease the probability of an enemy intercepting critical intelligence, MI6 implements risk mitigation strategies, enhancing encryption protocols and strengthening communication security. Risk owner. The MI6 field agent responsible for monitoring the risk of enemy detection during an undercover operation is designated as the risk owner, ensuring timely response strategies if needed. Risk register. MI6 maintains a risk register as a repository of potential threats and vulnerabilities associated with James Bond's missions, enabling proactive monitoring and risk mitigation. Risk sharing. In certain missions, MI6 might allocate ownership of opportunities, such as collaborating with an informant, to third parties who can best capitalize on the benefits for the project's success. Risk transference. To shift the potential impact of a threat, such as a security breach, PMI the 6th of May transferred the responsibility and consequences to external parties, allowing the organization to focus on mission execution. Schedule baseline. The approved schedule baseline outlines the planned sequence of James Bond's mission activities, ensuring that mission timelines align with resource availability and strategic objectives. Schedule compression. When time is of the essence, MI6 employs schedule compression techniques, such as fast tracking, to shorten mission durations without compromising the scope of James Bond's tasks. Schedule management plan. MI6's schedule management plan establishes the criteria for developing, monitoring, and controlling the mission schedule, ensuring that James Bond's activities remain on track and aligned with objectives. Schedule network analysis. MI6 uses schedule network analysis to determine the early and late start and finish dates for various mission activities, allowing for accurate project tracking and timely adjustments. Schedule Performance Index, SPI. The SPI provides insight into the efficiency of James Bond's mission schedule, measuring the ratio of earned value to planned value to assess
Step on and shape up in just 10 minutes a day with Aeroski.
Schedule variance.
Aeroski offers toning and
evaluates
muscle
James
control
Bond's mission
through
schedule
plyometric
performance by
training.
measuring the difference
With
between
3
earned
support
value and
options
planned value,
3 levels
helping
of
MI6
resistance,
assess whether
Aeroski
activities
gives
are
you the
ahead or
workout
behind
that's
schedule.
right for you. Aeroski helps
Scope
tone your
baseline.
thighs,
The scope baseline
glutes,
defines the
and
approved
core
scope of James
with one
Bond's mission,
fun and simple
including the
workout.
objectives,
Use
deliverables,
resistance
and work
and
breakdown
balance
structure,
to trim
acting as a
and tone.
reference for comparison to
Click
actual
now
progress.
to get Aeroski and start enjoying the
Scope
benefits.
creep. While on a mission to retrieve stolen intelligence, the sudden addition of extracting a high-profile informant's family introduces scope creep, requiring MI6 to adjust plans and resources accordingly. Scope management plan. MI6's scope management plan outlines how the organization will define, develop, monitor, control, and validate the scope of James Bond's missions, ensuring alignment with strategic goals. S-curve analysis. MI6 conducts S-curve analysis to visualize the cumulative costs and progress trends of James Bond's missions over time, aiding in assessing performance and resource allocation. Threat. A threat in MI6's operations could involve a high-ranking enemy agent discovering crucial intelligence, which would have a negative effect on James Bond's mission objectives by compromising the mission's success and potentially endangering his life. 3-point estimating. MI6 uses 3-point estimating techniques to estimate the time required to extract James Bond from a dangerous situation. The technique considers optimistic, pessimistic, and most likely scenarios to account for uncertainties in mission execution. To complete performance index, TCPI. As James Bond's mission progresses, MI6 calculates the TCPI to measure the cost performance required to meet the remaining objectives while staying within budget constraints and achieving management goals. Total float. The total float for a mission-critical activity in James Bond's assignment represents the amount of time it can be delayed from its early start date without affecting the overall mission finish date or violating essential schedule constraints. Trigger condition. MI6 identifies a specific trigger condition, such as the sudden disappearance of a key informant, indicating that a high-risk situation is about to occur during James Bond's mission. This condition prompts immediate response and action. Variance analysis. MI6 conducts variance analysis to determine the reasons for discrepancies between the planned and actual performance of James Bond's mission. This helps identify deviations and their impact on mission objectives. Variance at completion, VAC. If James Bond's mission experiences delays and additional costs due to unforeseen challenges, MI6 calculates the VAC to project the budget surplus or deficit compared to the initial estimate. WBS Dictionary. The WBS Dictionary provides detailed information about each component of James Bond's mission, outlining deliverables, activities, and scheduling details to ensure all elements are understood and managed effectively. Weighted milestone method. In MI6's cost estimation for James Bond's mission, the budget is allocated to different phases of the operation, with each phase ending in a critical milestone. The milestones are assigned weighted budget values based on their significance and impact. What-if scenario analysis. MI6 engages in what-if scenario analysis to assess the potential impact of various outcomes during James Bond's mission. By evaluating different scenarios, the organization can better prepare for unexpected events and adjust strategies accordingly. Work breakdown structure, WBS. MI6 creates a detailed work breakdown structure to decompose James Bond's mission into manageable components, ensuring that all tasks, deliverables, and objectives are defined and aligned with the mission's success. Work package. Each phase of James Bond's mission is broken down into work packages, which are the smallest units of work that can be estimated, managed, and tracked. These work packages help MI6 allocate resources and monitor progress effectively. Workaround. When faced with unexpected interference from enemy agents, James Bond might need to execute a workaround to adapt to the situation and achieve mission objectives, ensuring that the mission continues despite unforeseen obstacles.